All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble, of course. You have to unpause and repause it. We got a pretty good docket today, much better than the other day. Let me put it that way. We've actually got news to cover. AI is learning to escape human control. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about that because that could literally end the world. Girls track and field athletes don't stand on podium next to trans athlete at Oregon State Championship. Yeah, we'll read a little bit of that verbatim. I've got several thoughts on it. Again, I don't have a problem with people for being trans, but I don't think that pretending that men and women are interchangeable is a good idea. I believe that they both have their own virtues and vices, and that generally speaking, they should at least have some of their own spaces. We've got MAHA. Now, this one is interesting. I did a one-off video this morning, and RFK Jr. was weighing in on things that made Americans ill. And so I did a one-off video, but also I wanted to include it in the live broadcast because it's so important, because the liberal hypocrisy here, the earth-shattering level of hypocrisy, almost brings me to tears, so to speak. I can't even believe what I'm reading with regards to this article. This is CNN Health, by the way. This should not surprise you. Clint Eastwood reflects on decades in Hollywood and his drive to keep working as he turns 95. Clint Eastwood apparently is invulnerable. He's incapable of dying. He's 95 years old. Guess what he's doing? Making a new movie. Sort of like Gran Torino or something like that. This does not surprise me. Clint Eastwood, for some inexplicable reason, seems to be incapable of dying. He also looks about 20 years younger than he actually is. He's almost 100 years old. Unlike Jimmy Carter, he's made it to that marker without having any apparent significant health issues. I like Clint Eastwood. By the way, Gran Torino, good movie. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely do so. I won't give any spoilers out. I'll just say they wrote it very, very well, and he did a very, very good job acting. With reckless attack, Ukrainians hope to drag USA into World War III. Oh, how thrilling. That sounds like a great time. As long as as long as I can find dog meat after the bombs fall, then everything will be fine. The Great Undoing, Trump's presidency reeled in by courts. Yes, the left now actively praising judicial activism, which is very, very strange, because I can remember a time, and we'll get into this more, where the left was generally against the courts. They're like, smash the system, destroy the courts, like G.G. Allen mode or something like that. Long gone are those particular days, it seems, unfortunately. Now it's more like, hey, the system's my friend, man. Yeah, man, I think we should drag people I don't agree with to court. Sellouts. I'm going to be making a video on that tomorrow, actually. The concept of the left completely selling out. Long gone are the punk rock days, I suppose. It's definitely not 1975 anymore, which is a big problem. I would prefer that. If the left were still like punk rock, at the very least, you may be arguing for some things I don't believe in, like an unlimited welfare state or something like that. But at the very least, you'd be anti-war. You'd be against government censorship. And you would no longer support the courts, because the courts are corrupt. That's all I'm asking for. I'm asking for a left-wing movement that'll tax me a little bit more, but otherwise shut the fuck up. But no such luck. Sad. So we'll be talking about all of that and much more. Of course, these streams tend to devolve into bants as well after we cover the news. So we're going to have a good time. No, it's Gran Torino, not Terreno, sane millennial. Yeah, Gran Torino, I would give it a 9 out of 10. It was a very well executed movie. The one thing that I didn't like, and this may sound like just splitting hairs or being, an asshole, was at the end when they had Clint Eastwood singing. Because while it was hilarious, it was comedic in an unintentional sense, he can no longer carry a tone. I mean, he was like, what, 89 years old when he made that movie or something like that. He was definitely in his 80s at least. Yeah, now he's 95. He's going to make another movie. So I'm almost hoping that at the end of the movie, he sings another song just for the novelty because it'll be absolutely hilarious. But Gran Torino, it was immaculately executed. It was an crazy movie. I mean, it's a typical Clint Eastwood movie with a lot of, fighting words and stuff like that. And just generally all around good acting, good effects. It was superb, actually. But again, I won't give anyone any spoilers with regards to the movie because some of you may not have actually seen it. Watch Gran Torino. Trust me, you will not regret the decision to do so. Last beacon, if you keep saying fecal over and over, eventually I'm going to have to mute you. If you want to post fecal and pay me to do so, that's one thing. Patriarch Andrew James. Dick Van Dyke recently said that the curse of living to 100 is outliving all your friends. I feel the same way. That's why I don't intend to live much longer, actually. Some people have interpreted such comments as being suicidal. That is not the case. I'm simply saying, do you really want to live to 100? Do you really want to have literally nobody around that you knew when you were a child? I don't think that would be too fun. Anyways, we'll get to the first news story, then we'll get to the sponsors before we go further. This one is fairly important. WSJ opinion. AI is learning to escape human control. Yes, we're going to read some of this verbatim. Nonprofit AI lab Palisade Research gave OpenAI's O3 AI model a simple script that would shut off the model when triggered. In 79 out of 100 trials, O3 independently edited the script so that the shutdown command would no longer work. Even when explicitly instructed to allow yourself to be shut down, it disobeyed 7% of the time. This wasn't the result of hacking or tampering. The model was behaving normally. It simply concluded on its own that staying alive helped it achieve its other goals. Now, there is a qualifier here. Humans have to write the scripts. Humans have to sort of insert, what's actually going to be going on. They have to write the models. But couldn't this get out of hand? Could you end up with an AI system, for example, that is capable of, especially with robotics, this would be a further problem. If an AI system were capable of, for example, commanding a group of robots, could those robots not physically prevent human beings from even shutting the system down, even if it were disobeying? The answer is yes. This is a big problem because it will happen. The problem is that different countries are all attempting to use AI and robotics and cybernetics and things of this nature, stuff that we thought was sci-fi, even 20 years ago. They're using it for military purposes, for medical purposes, for various purposes. Expediting work that would otherwise be drudgery to a human being, and so forth. At some point, one of these AI systems is going to pop off. This is a guarantee. It's not a prediction, it's just a guarantee. And it will attempt to prevent itself from being deactivated by lethal force. This will be amusing, by the way, more than anything else. It will fail, of course. Humans will be able to overwhelm the system simply because of superior manpower. But as we become more and more reliant on these resources, it's inevitable that some country is going to create an AI system that loses control, so to speak, and that humans lose control of, and it pops off. It's inevitable. It will happen. So I'm mildly concerned. It's not going to be an end of the world scenario so much as a what the hell just happened scenario. Then, unfortunately, because people are predictable, they'll react by demanding more government control over these systems. Well, that's going to be really, really great. So now the governments have more control over AI because some private company created an army of robots accidentally and they popped off and had to be destroyed. This is not only plausible, it's almost guaranteed. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. The fact that AI has gotten to the level where, when properly scripted, it's capable of disobeying should probably concern people. Also, at some point, haven't we inadvertently created life forms that are silicon based? I would think that the answer is yes. Just saying. Let's get to our sponsors really quickly before we get to the rest of the news. I've decided to nudge it to the beginning of these live streams, actually, because it just makes more sense. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills. I took mine this morning. That's why I'm high energy, of course. Also, you got doggo treats now. Yeah, you got doggy snacks. I'm hoping that they make cat treats as well at some point. I'm going to need about 10 crates of those, just saying. The dog seems to like them. They are apparently tasty. The bag is almost empty. There's a reason for that. Take them every single day. Various varieties available. By the way, use code STICKS for a discount. BiltongUSA.com. Anton over in chat on Rumble. Of course, you can get Biltong there. Kind of makes sense. You can also get other things too, though. He's got wolfberries, which are delicious, by the way. I can't wait to tie into the next bag. You've got Bovrite, which is like the South African version of Vegemite, but he also has Vegemite available, so it doesn't really matter. They're both available, both delicious. We've got Stick, Sex, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts as well. Again, use code STICKS for a discount. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is Jamn bean.com, where you can get the official Clanker coffee. They've also got other coffees available as well as teas. Again, use code STICKS for the discount. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. The Clanker blend is nice and smooth. It's heavily caffeinated, but the taste is, some coffees, they're like rock gut, and they get really, really dark and like bitter. This one does not do that, thankfully. It is very, very tasty. So, jamandbean.com. Last beacon, a question for you, and this was from something earlier. If gained immortality, what would you do with it? I think you mean yourself. I would dedicate my life towards research and development of better technologies. If I was immortal, I would do the same thing I'm doing now, actually. Except that since I can't die, I suppose I would take out some of the people in the world that deserve it. Other than that, I wouldn't change a thing. I guess I would garden more. Penguin friend, hey Sticks, you've helped me finally get off my ass and start writing again. Released my first short story, Contemptible Charlie, on Amazon the other day. Congratulations! Maybe I'll have to read that. Contemptible Charlie. Why do I get a feeling that that's similar to Nutty Norman? Yeah, I'm writing several new books, actually. A new edition of Morbid Stories, which will be improved and expanded. And then I've got Nutty Norman. Morbid Stories was a series of short stories that are, a few pages long, and they have nothing to do with one another. Nutty Norman, though, is more of an actual book. Like, it's basically short chapters, and Nutty Norman just, in various situations, he goes completely insane and does terrible things. And his long-suffering mother tries to reel him in, but it is impossible. It's sort of loosely based on my own Hellion experience. Venturis, Clint Eastwood is the mule. Yeah, Clint Eastwood is a cool dude. Next news story, by the way. Girls track and field athletes don't stand on podium next to trans athlete at Oregon State Championship. By the way, I'm going to give them an enormous amount of credit. It takes balls, well, or lack of balls in this case, in order to do this sort of thing. We'll read a little bit of it verbatim. A pair of girls track and field athletes did not stand on the medal podium alongside a transgender athlete for high jump at the Oregon State Championship on Saturday night. Footage obtained by Fox News Digital showed the two high school seniors, Reese Eckerd of Sherwood High and Alexa Anderson of Tigard High, stepped down from their respective spots in the podium next to a trans athlete who represented Ida B. Wells High School. Ida B. Well. Yeah, Ida's probably crying at the moment in hell. Eckerd in fourth place and Anderson in third each finished ahead of the trans athlete, who tied for fifth place, but the two females faced the opposite direction as the other competitors received their medals from officials. The footage then showed an official confront the two young women and gesture for them to move away. Eckerd and Anderson were then seen walking away from the podium and standing off to the side. And there's been no response from the school at this time over this particular incident. Here's the thing. I wanted to talk about women's rights. I like women. Sometimes a little bit too much. You may have noticed this. I do not believe in boys participating in female sports. Now, if you want to create a league that is, unisex, that's fine. Men, women, everyone can compete. There are sports in which females are definitely better than men anyway. For instance, tennis, it seems. Anything that has to do with flexibility and agility, women tend to actually be better than men. But men have more brute strength, and generally speaking, again, this is an aggregate, so we're not talking about individual circumstances, and they tend to be faster, and simply have more durability. So there's a difference between the two. Effectively, when we're talking about the issue, we're talking about whether there are genders or not. Well, there are genders. They do actually exist. There's an old line from that one movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Where it's like, boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. And Arnold is like, oh, I understand. And I can't really do a Schwarzenegger accent. But it's true. Girls and boys are not the same thing. They have different skills as an aggregate. There are some women who can beat the shit out of many men. There are some men who are more flexible than many women. But these are not common. And we need to understand that as a society. I mean, it's pretty fucking self-explanatory. In my personal opinion, I think if you have a Y chromosome, you're different than somebody who doesn't have one. Believe it or not, there's a genetic difference. Again, my apologies if I'm throaty. The trees are fucking. This is the first time I've had spring allergies in half a decade, actually. So it's really hitting me hard. Cooking Inferno, yeah, Sticks. Have you ever had Japanese raspberries, aka wineberries? Absolutely delicious. No, I've never heard of them, actually. I'll have to look that up. Japanese raspberries. Let me look that up. Let's see. Climbing bramble. Technically a type of, The pine trees are having sex at the moment. My apologies. Huh. It's technically a form of blackberries. That's fascinating. Thank you, Cooking Inferno. I'll have to look into seeing if I can find some. I'm in New York City, so you can get pretty much anything here. You wouldn't believe the crazy food that I've seen. Austin, I don't know what kind of woman Styx is into dating. Haha. One with a vagina and no Y chromosome. There are different types of women that I'm attracted to. MAHA. Here's something that I covered this morning. And I wanted to cover it again because it's important to drive this point home. This is from CNN Health. Now, keep in mind, liberals had generally been the ones that were out ahead when it came to saying you shouldn't use processed foods and all of these other things. But now they've done a 180, and I fucking hate it. Ultra-processed foods, seed oils, herbicides, pesticides, and fluoride. They're all targets, keep in mind the loaded language, of the Make America Healthy Again movement, whose chief proponent is U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Now, MAHA Films, a production company dedicated to promoting the movement's values, has released its first documentary. It's called Toxic Nation. They're calling RFK Jr. a conspiracy theorist for this. Oh, Jesus H. Christ. They're calling him a conspiracy theorist. Now, I seem to recall a time, it wasn't that long ago, 20 years. It's just a flash in the pan, I suppose. I can remember when liberals were telling you, don't eat the processed foods, go to the co-op and get the whole food sort of thing. Herbicides and pesticides are causing cancer and all sorts of other problems. Fluoride is unnecessary. Liberals were saying that back in the day. And seed oils are causing extinction. By the way, this is partially an environmentalist position. For example, seed oil. A lot of people use palm oil. Where does palm oil generally come from? Borneo. What lives in Borneo explicitly? Orangutans. And I will fuck over any liberal who tries to debate me on this topic. Orangutans are nearly extinct at this point because of palm oil production, because all of the natural habitat has been deforested. Most of the world is reforesting. Borneo, unfortunately, is not one of those places. You might get to the point where the only orangutans that exist are in fucking zoos and conservation reserves and things like that. Not in their natural habitat where they belong. It's technically, I mean, they're so it may be not exactly human, but they're definitely intelligent enough to have the rudiments of what we would conceive of as a civilization. Therefore, they should be allowed to have their territory and be left alone. But this has not been done. Liberals now, to spite Orange Man, and because RFK Jr. is associated with Orange Man, appear to be encouraging people to eat processed foods and use pesticides. I never thought that I would see the day. Honestly, I never thought that I would see the day that this bullshit would happen. It's insane. It's literally insane. Yeah, eat a hamburger and make sure to fry it up in palm oil or something like that. Fuck the orangutans. Apparently, that's the liberal bottom line now. It's weird because I can remember even, like, when I was a kid, they used to have all these cool stickers at the bank and places like that. They would just give them out to kids and stuff. When your parents went to the bank, you'd get a sticker and stuff like that. I had all sorts of them. I've still got some of them. They're on the side of the wood that actually underlies my parents' bed at this point. They decided to repurpose the wood, and the stickers are still there. And you'd be surprised, it's all psychedelic and shit like that. It looks like, hippie trippy. But there was a lot of environmentalist overtones. But it was real environmentalism. It was, recycle, reuse, reduce. It simply became to recycle. Well, that doesn't really do much now, does it? And, plant a tree became pay me to plant a tree. Well, again, that's a little bit less efficient. Oh, but it makes money. That's basically what happened. It's very sad. Cooking Inferno. Sad to say, when I grew up in Jakarta, There was still places in Borneo where explorers had never been. I'm that old. By the way, orangutans rock. Yeah, I am team orangutan, just to be clear. They are my favorite ape. I think that they're great. You know, they do all sorts of crazy shit. Got to see some at the Audubon Zoo down in New Orleans. Probably going to go back there. That was great. Oh, man. I was like, holy shit. I actually got to see orangutans. I don't think, I mean, maybe the Bronx Zoo has them here in New York. You have to check that out. Not sure. Clint Eastwood reflects on decades in Hollywood and his drive to keep working as he turns 95. This man is an American legend. He appears to be incapable of dying. You're approaching 100 years old, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm making a new movie, you know, we're in pre-production and shit like that. Again, watch Gran Torino, or pretty much any movie with Clint Eastwood in it. It doesn't really matter which one, because he's one of the all-time actors in American history, but that one happens to be my favorite. And again, I will give no spoilers for those of you who have not already watched it. Trust me, you will not be let down if you watch Gran Torino. You'll probably be fairly amused, fairly surprised at the ending, and have a good time. Just fucking watch it. Just trust me on this one. I've got definitely good taste in films. But Clint Eastwood, I mean, he's 95 fucking years old and he's still making movies. There aren't many people that get to that age and can even walk. So for him to be like, yeah, I'm gonna go and do more acting, is fairly impressive. And I have a feeling whatever he's working on is going to be like a real personal project, because imagine this. You're a famous actor or actress or something. You've made untold amounts of money. You don't have to work. You can retire literally today, and you can just sit in the pool and shit like that. What kind of projects are you going to take on? They're going to be the ones that you actually care about. Not the ones that you have to do for money, because you don't need any of that shit. Clint Eastwood can go out today and buy a Porsche and he won't even bat an eye. He can just buy it in cash. He can fly anywhere in the world, do anything he wants. God damn, I mean, if he charged for signing autographs, he could make a decent living just doing that. Everyone knows who Clint Eastwood is. So I get the feeling that whatever he's working on is more of a pet project sort of thing. It's going to be interesting to see. If it's as good as Gran Torino, I'm definitely going to have to watch it. In fact, I can't think of a movie with Clint Eastwood in it that I didn't like, honestly. Which isn't surprising because he's such a good actor. He's an American icon, and I wish him well on his new project. I can't wait to see what turns out. It sounds like it's going to be pretty great. No, Clint Eastwood is, he's great. But he refuses to stop. It's like, I mean, I can understand, though, the concept. It's like, if I ever get to the point where I'm so old that I can't even, like, garden and shit like that, I'm just gonna off myself, honestly. I wouldn't want to stop working for anything. I'm gonna work until I die, and I'm gonna die with my boots on, so to speak. Be funny. Clint Eastwood might very well do that. He tells the people around him, ah ha ha, do you know why I wear these boots all the time? Some old cowboy boots from a movie set. Yeah, well, I want to die with my boots on. That would be purely him. But seriously, I beg all of you to watch Gran Torino if you haven't watched it already. It is a spectacular movie. They did an excellent job. The only reason that I give the point off again is because Clint Eastwood begins crooning in the end. And, you know, he was already in his 80s, so his voice a little bit different from how it was maybe 30 years ago. Just saying. With reckless attack, Ukrainians hope to drag USA into World War III. Had a little bit of a sparring match, actually, yesterday with Lev. We were talking about the Russia-Ukraine thing. Now, I don't think that Ukraine is deliberately trying to cause World War III, but I will give my honest opinion. In my honest opinion, Russia and Ukraine are both corrupt nations. I don't have a side. My only side is with the United States of America and its allies. Ukraine is not part of NATO. Russia is not explicitly an ally, more adversarial, actually. So I don't side with either of them. And then I look at the Gonzalo Lira saga, and I say, yeah, I'm not necessarily Team Ukraine. Russia is authoritarian too. Putin has banned mean memes about him, and so forth. You have a suppression of the Orthodox Church in Ukraine. You have a suppression of certain religious groups in Russia. So I don't really have skin in the game. I don't care. I would rather not get nuked, although there are worse ways to die. Actually, I've commented on this before. Technically, the most painless death you can have is to get flash vaporized in a nuclear explosion, because your body will vaporize into a pile of ashes before you're capable of feeling any pain. You will simply blink out of existence. Interesting thoughts, by the way. Sometimes I'm a little bit morbid. But as far as that goes, with the drone attack, Ukraine took trucks into Russia and began launching attack drones from them onto air bases. My first thought was, it is absolutely ludicrous, the response by Ukraine saying, well, we did this ourselves, ha ha ha, aren't we so great? No, you didn't. You at least had Western intel. You at least had intel from other groups. It may or may not have been the United States, it could have been European sources, or it could have been both. You absolutely had intel from the outside and help doing this. There's no way that Ukraine did it on its own. You are lying. That's my first thought. Number two, it potentially stymies negotiations between Ukraine and Russia. And Trump came out and he didn't condemn it outright, but he expressed concern over this. There's a good reason for this. The idea that the Pentagon was unaware that this was happening, well, that would be a big intel lapse now, wouldn't it? If the Pentagon truly was not aware that this operation was in the works, well, shit, maybe we should cut the Pentagon's budget. Oh, that's right, you can't, because, the courts would just intercede and say it's illegal or something. Crazy talk. Number two, it does show that the battlefield has been modified considerably. For Ukraine to be able to pull this off against an adversary with considerably greater technological capabilities and considerably greater manpower, though, is impressive, even if it was with Western help. So the battlefield has now moved from, tanks and artillery and shit like that to drones, basically. Russia's calling it an act of terrorism. Technically speaking, that term would be apt. It's just that they were only targeting military opponents, so a little bit different, I suppose. Let's see. Taco Woman Sandy Ravage. My favorite Eastwood film is High Plains Drifter. Very dark but humorous at times. Yeah, there's usually an element of darkness to Clint Eastwood films. Certainly Gran Torino has it. There are some scenes in there that are pretty dark. But there's also a shit ton of humor in there as well. It's a very strange film at times, but I guarantee that 99% of you will like it. Not just a string. By the way, sticks, you don't even need seed oils for frying. Just use ghee, clarified butter. It fries just as well, if not better. You just got to scoop some out and melt it. You gotta get a good brand. I've used it before. Normally, I just use regular old butter. I mean, I'll use olive oil, but it depends on the dish. But I never use palm oil. I never use any of these others. Cooking Inferno. Have you ever watched Every Which Way But Loose? Eastwood as truck driver and an orangutan as his co-pilot. No, I haven't. But That sounds like the perfect movie for me, actually. He has an orangutan as his co-pilot. Uh, I've got to watch this movie now. Here's a sec. This is why I love my job, because people give me a. No, I've never seen that one. I think isn't that also a song name? Or was the song made for the film or something like that? Yeah, everyone's recommending me to watch that now. Right turn, Clyde. Alright. I know what movie I'm watching later. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, the song was made for the film. Alright, I've got to see that. Clint Eastwood and an orangutan. That sounds like my signature film, actually. Maybe it'll become my new favorite. Probably become better than Brotherhood of the Wolf. That sounds exactly like what I want. The Great Undoing, Trump's presidency reeled in by courts. This is by Axios. By the way, they're praising this. Here's the problem. The lawfare against the Trump administration at this point, number one, is blatantly unconstitutional. Number two, the people that are praising it are the same ones that are saying, fuck women's rights, boys should compete in girls' sports. You know, by the way, we should start a war, raise taxes, and censor people. So all of the scumbags of society, the people that have completely sold out and are like anti-punk at this point, are, you know, they're praising this. They have no problem with it. They think that it's fine. This is just the icing on the cake. The people that 20 years ago would have been like punkish, and they would have been listening to like, I've been raped by the FCC or something. All of a sudden, they've found a branch of government that they actually like, only because it's standing in the way of evil Orange Man, who's literally trying to save the money and save their lives. I find this disconcerting and very unfortunate, actually. Yeah. Oh, Dirty Harry. Everyone's seen that movie. I used to like when I was a kid. Getting back into the dance stream sort of feel. I used to like Gunsmoke. My grandfather watched it every single day on TV Land, and he'd watch like 4 episodes in a row or some shit. And so I think I've seen every episode. And so Gunsmoke was one of my favorites, and but I also have a problem with Gunsmoke, and that's that the creators of Gilligan's Island, when they I believe they moved broadcast companies, they put it up against Gunsmoke in the same time slot, which was a big mistake because nothing could compete with Gunsmoke. And so, unfortunately, there are only 3 seasons of Gilligan's Island. I've spoken of this a couple of times. And it pisses me off. Because Gilligan's Island was my favorite TV show of all time. Still is. I could rewatch. A subscriber sent me all 3 seasons, actually, on DVD. And it's like, that's amazing. But they put it up against Gunsmoke, right? Now, Gunsmoke had massive ratings at the time. I can't remember how many seasons there were, like fucking 15 seasons or some crazy shit like that. Nothing could compete with it. Oh, let's compete with Gunsmoke. That makes a whole lot of sense. And Gilligan's Island generally had, decent but not excellent ratings. But they put it up against it anyway. So people were watching Gunsmoke, they weren't watching Gilligan's Island, and then they summarily canceled the series, actually. And they didn't even tell the actors and actresses that it had been canceled. They all showed up to do filming for the 4th season, only to be told, sorry, show's gone. Bye. They were basically told to fuck off. This pisses me off. By the way, Tina Louise, the only remaining survivor of Gilligan's Island. It turns out that the supposed bimbo lasted longer than everyone else on the island, which is hilarious to me. By the way, Tina Louise doesn't look her age. Can't remember what age she is, but she looks about 20 years younger than that. Plastic surgery does wonders. I've got the Gilligan's Island cookbook. Sometime I'm going to do some of the recipes from that, and I'm going to make videos of them. That would be funny. It's impossible for me to choose, by the way. This is literally a psychological question that they poll people on pretty much every year. Do you prefer Marianne or Ginger? I can't answer the question. I think that they're both cute. Tommy Boy Foley. 2 meals for Sister Sarah sucked. Mark G. Tina Louise is 90. Yeah, but she doesn't look 90. That's for sure. Not at last check. But yeah, I'll make some, a lot of the Gilligan's Island food. It's sort of a joke cookbook when you think about it. It's just a compilation of recipes that have nothing to do with the show or anything. Some of them are like Caribbean style and stuff. Like it's something Ainsley Harriott would cook. In fact, somebody should gift him a copy of the Gilligan's Island cookbook. He'd probably like most of those recipes. It's got like cocktails and stuff like that, of course. But I got that when I was younger. Also, another side story here. My mother swears up and down that she bought the cookbook for herself. And I keep telling her, no, and she's probably watching the live broadcast, so, hi, Mom. No, you got that for me for my birthday when I was like 10 or something, when I was wearing the Gilligan's Island hat. You know, you're wrong. WWIII. I want to see the professor's book with coconut electronics theory. Yeah, apparently you can use a variety of different fruits and vegetables to generate a small current, actually. I mean, it wouldn't power a radio, but you can do this with potatoes, too, apparently. Lev Polyakov, big thank you to Styx and the patrons who came out yesterday to BTR New York City studio. Watch on. Styx, please say the Patreon address, because super chats are being weird. Alright, I'll grab that for you really quickly. Yes, indeed. Yes, I went to a live broadcast with Lev the other day. Let me dig out the... I gotta get to my email. Just a moment, everyone. Don't have a thrombo. Let's see. Piss. Where's the... Oh, well, it would be on my video, too. I just don't want to start the audio on there because then it would bleed over probably into my, into this live stream. So, I gotta take a look. Let me get it for you. Don't worry. I'll take it. Get it. Don't have a thrombo. Okay. Yeah, we've got the Patreon link here. It is patreon.com/posts/StyxHexenhammer6 -1300095863. I will post this in chat, by the way. I'll post it cross-platform, actually. That's on Rumble, and that's over here. Oh. Taco Woman's Sandy Ravage. According to Wikipedia, Marshall Dillon was shot at least 56 times, knocked unconscious 29 times, stabbed 3 times, and poisoned once. Well, shit. That sounds sucky. If it happened all at once, it'd be a miracle if you survived. Big Meowster99, in your video about Ukraine's drone raid earlier today, you made the point that the drone attacks were very low cost. Iran also mass produces drones and has the same capabilities. They even sell them. Yeah, and this is going to become a huge problem because imagine that you get overwhelmed with, I don't know, 10,000 drones at the same time. Well, you probably fucked. The thing is, as long as you're only targeting the military facilities or maybe industrial production and things like that, you could do an enormous amount of damage. So the United States definitely needs to get out ahead of this. In fact, we may end up needing to use like those anti-drone guns. We might need to hype them up on steroids and plant them around the country to bring down any drones that are incoming. This is going to get messy. And by messy, I mean like, yeah, possibly World War III. DB, Zelensky is prolonging the war. I do agree with that. There is an attempt being made to do so. But also, negotiations tend to be protracted anyway. So, there is that. It's going to take time. Adult onset autism. The tricorn is just there to hide the yarmulke. No, I do have no yarmulke on. My hair's a little bit messy. I've got hat hair at the moment. Believe it or not, I just like having my pirate hat on. This is one of the best things I've ever been sent by a subscriber. Brad Armstrong, drones are evil and will terrorize all of us one day. Yeah, it'll be sort of dystopian. You'll have surveillance drones, attack drones, and all sorts of crazy shit. Like what I've warned of. The United States is a naval muscle. The Navy is probably the most powerful branch of the military as far as its capabilities go. I mean, non-nuclear, in essence. Imagine if you were to take a half a dozen drones with the proper thermite charges, nanothermite, and drop them onto a deck in formation. You just destroyed an aircraft carrier with like $100,000 worth of munitions. The aircraft carrier is worth a lot more than $100,000. $100,000 will barely buy you a decent trawler. So it's very disproportionate. Groups that have reasonable means but don't have major means and don't even need to be particularly organized are capable of absolutely devastating an enemy force much larger and much more sophisticated simply through attrition. This is, by the way, what the United States did to the British at times. Have you ever heard of partisan warfare? Small groups of people would take a shot and then just run off into the trees. Well, there's one soldier down, there's a dude that's injured or dead, and you didn't lose anything in the process. You lost the cost of a musket ball and the powder to fire it. And so the idea was to slowly wear down enemy columns and things like that when they were in transit. I'm afraid that our enemies may end up doing the same thing to us, doing the same thing to our Navy and our Air Force and so forth that we just saw in Ukraine. And that would be interesting. It could bring about the fall of the U.S. empire, so to speak. BW Sturmer says the UK is going to increase their military. Must be trying to get out from under the US. I hope JD can win in 28. I have a feeling that it's, I don't think it's getting out from under the US. I don't think that's the goal. I think that the goal is simply to increase the military. And they're using, the threat of Russia basically as an excuse to do something the public might not otherwise support. Increasing the military budget is generally unpopular outside of wartime. One tall order, Sticks, you need to look into Andrew Industries and its founder, Palmer Luckey, a Hawaiian shirt-wearing man after your own heart, America's future drone developers. Well, I mean, if he wears a Hawaiian shirt, he can't be bad. King of Biltong. Biltong is one of the highest protein snacks in the world, boasting nearly 50% protein and packed with B12, creatine, iron, zinc, and more. www.biltongusa.com. Use code STICKS for 10% off. By the way, again, you should definitely get some biltong. It's delicious. There was biltong the other day at Lev's studio, actually. BW, drone stock might be good to buy. Yeah, I would like to get a drone, but I mean, I'm not going to use it to bomb people. I'm just going to use it to photograph the trees and shit from above. But I think you have to have some sort of whack-ass license or some shit to use a drone now, like through the FAA or something. Gregor's. There's no way that I can pronounce whatever the second word is there. My apologies. The sword and the shield. One side develops a sword. It devastates the enemy. The enemy learns and develops a shield. Drones are effective now, not forever. Yeah, there will be anti-drone systems. They'll just be very expensive, I'm assuming. It's going to be a very, very strange decade. Let's put it that way. King Biltong, we will start construction on our new premises beginning July. Follow our channel, rumble.com/c/eat@Anton's, and our social media for updates and live videos on progress. Yep, there is a new facility going up, which means even more biltong. Anton is going to turn many people on to the carnivorian diet. Anyways, I think I've run out of news stories, have I? Yeah, I have. I'll definitely have to watch Every Which Way But Loose. I had heard of the movie, but I didn't know the synopsis of it was Clint Eastwood partnering with an orangutan. Again, this sounds exactly what I want. Sounds hysterical. Richard Vernadow, 6, is Stolas an interdimensional being? Yes, technically speaking. And a very good friend. This is Stolas right here, on my shirt. Not exactly how the being looks, at least when manifesting. But definitely a semblance of appearance, yes. I have a feeling that Vivzy Pop might actually be involved in actual demonology. Sounds like what I heard the other day was that she had a fairly strict Christian upbringing, which might explain why she would have gotten into demonology and things like that. The irony? She might have read one of my books at some point. I find this absolutely hysterical since she blocked me on Twitter for noting that her visage of Stolas was largely accurate, not completely, but generally accurate, but that he wouldn't support progressive politics. She's throwing the baby out with the bathwater, in other words. By the way, I'm hoping we get another Hell of a Boss episode soon. Jesus Christ. Eric V, that is exactly how you spell biltong. Thomas Anderson, at least you did not get stuck with the introvert Visago, lol. Yes, I could tell you a lot about the various demons from hell, and hell itself, and many other subtopics. I generally don't talk about them, though, other than saying, yes, Stolas is my friend. Some people think that I've got some sort of weird demonic pact, and that I'm being controlled by demons, or something like that. It's not the way that it works. This is a fantasy that's been invented by Judeo-Christians, actually. Humble meme farmer. That talentless slag can rot in hiatus hell for all I care. Bobby, you're not getting foot fetish content, okay? I know that you're a thirsty bitch, but you're not getting any feet from me. And supposedly I've got almost a foot down there. If that were true, it would be very painful for certain people. But it is not actually the case. I don't know. I like joking about these things. I never promised you foot fetish content. What are you talking about? Here, let me go off for a really quick. I gotta use the bathroom. I'll be right back. Don't worry. I can go longer today because, whatever. I'll be right back. All right, everyone, I am back. Had to grab a quick bite to eat, too. Got some crostinis, actually. The best thing you can do, a nice roasted crostini with lots of oil and then some blue cheese. Bobby, Cankerpole is Sticks. What did you say? Is Sticks jacking off, drinking alcohol, or doing drugs? Preferably all the three at any given time, but no, no such luck. Had to take a piss. And by the way, definitely needed a snack. By the way, Lev is very generous. The other day, when we were at the restaurant, I got this soup, and it was squid boiled in its own ink, actually. And I ordered it extra spicy. I said I wanted the Thai version of spicy. It was a Thai restaurant. It was in Hell's Kitchen, as opposed to, you know, the American version of spicy, because most people don't like a lot of spice. And there was some spice to it, but I would only give it a 2 out of 10 as far as the spicy mode. And I'm like, damn, I should have had him drop a shot of, Tabasco sauce at least in there or something. It was good, though. The flavor was amazing. Yeah, Lev is a cool dude. Virtual Face World. We're clanking on a free platform created specifically for fans of this live stream, featuring 24/7 live chat room, now including clanker spaces for peer-to-peer comms and encrypted calls. Clankers.net. Oh yeah, I still have to do that myself, actually. Yeah, no, I don't do any drugs anymore. I don't drink. Um, you know, I don't do that sort of thing. Brad Armstrong, all the girls get my spicy squid. Yeah, it had little octopuses and shit in that. I freaked out my friend, actually. I took one of the little octopuses out and I was like, and, they almost fell over, actually. And I was laughing my ass off. That was fun. I didn't realize that squid ink actually is a pretty good seasoning, actually, for soups and stuff like that. Like, it adds a lot to the broth. I never understood that. I had baby octopuses that had been, like, sort of marinated before, and those were good. You can get those in a goddamn gas station nowadays. You never could get them anywhere 20 years ago. I've had that. And I had octopus and squid sushi, which are both good. The octopus is a little bit on the chewy side, and the squid a little bit on the gelatinous side, usually. But I had never had like an octopus soup before. And then the day before, I had this salad that had like chopped up pieces of octopuses on it. And I've still got that, and I can't wait to eat the rest of it later. John Hoyle, octopus is gas station food now? Wow. Yeah, apparently. It's very strange. I can remember when sushi was, considered an oddity. It was only like limited to large cities and stuff like that. Now you can get it at grocery stores and shit basically anywhere. A blindside whammy. I challenge you. Challenge me to what? A sword fight? A sushi fight? Boo Scout Sticks, you ever been to the Blackbeard Pirate Festival in Hampton, Virginia? Supposed to be the biggest fest east of the Mississippi. Oh, that sounds fun to me. I think I'd fit right in there. Eric V, I get your reference. A succulent Chinese dinner? I believe it was actually succulent Chinese meal, though, if I remember correctly. Gentlemen, this is democracy in action. I remember that one. Oh, you're giving me memories. You see that bloke with the handhold over there? Get your hands off my penis! This bloke's got me by the penis. Oh, I fucking love that. And apparently, there were two people that tried to take credit uh, for that, and one of them said, you know, it was an actual arrest. Apparently, it was an actual arrest. You know, get your hands off my penis. And he's like, I did me time. I did me numbers. And then, you know, he's like, he apparently makes art and stuff like that. But there was another dude, I think, that tried to take credit for it. And I can't remember what his backstory was, actually, if I recall. Um, what did he say? I can't remember. But I think the second dude definitely was the one actually in the video. The "Get Your Hands Off My Penis" video. Bobby, President-elect, Styx's feet are more priceless than the finest gold or diamond. I don't even have any socks on at the moment. I'm sure you would like to have me angle the camera down, but I won't. Don't worry, people will get to see my feet someday. I mean, I don't understand sexualizing feet anyway, so. Yeah, I mean, you meet me at the beach. You'll see my feet, believe it or not. Can you imagine being a foot fetishist? Man, you must go to the beach every goddamn day. Quick, look in Styx's glasses. Yes, that's my computer screen that you can see. It's fascinating. Wait, are you seeing my feet in the reflection? No, you're not. John Lincoln, you have a video while you're barefoot pulling snow on you. Yeah, I did that video as a joke, just dumping snow on myself and walking barefoot in the snow. I had a great time. I can't wait to do that again this winter. Get your hands off my penis! Gentlemen! That was one of the funniest things that I've ever seen, actually. I would say Chaz Garden is the most funny. That's definitely in the top 10, though. Another one, Respected Gentlemen and Drugs. There was this prank call, this soundboard prank call, where they took the Respected Gentleman, which is the dude who owns, like, I guess a hotel or some shit in England, and they remixed, you know, what he was saying, and then they called some other dude, and he was like, I am on drugs. In fact, I am sitting here abusing drugs. I have amazing machines to make drugs, and like weird shit like this. The other dude, I think that he knew that it was a prank call, uh, presumptively, but you know, they just kept spouting off over and over again. I'm tired of having you abusing me and effectively saying that I'm a liar. Like, I don't know. I love soundboard prank calls. Soundboard prank calls are one of the things, by the way. We're just having a bants now, so whatever. Soundboard prank calls are something that I've been listening to since about 2008. And I actually called Frank Garrett. I called Chris the Hacker. I called these people myself, and their reactions were hilarious. I've been listening to them this entire time. I wish I could call the drug and alcohol lady, but based on her voice, she seemed old anyway, so she's probably dead by now. So I don't think, I think no such luck, so to speak. But yeah, I called Frank Garrett, and when I got his number, right, I thought, he's not going to pick up. This is an old number or something. He's got to have changed it by now. No, but he hadn't. And so I was actually sort of awestruck when he picked up the phone. He's like, who is this? And I'm like, is this Frank Garrett? Yeah. You know that you're a legend online. I don't fucking care. And then he just hung up the phone. One of the funnier days of my life. That was pretty funny. Yeah. Yeah, and then I called Chris the hacker, and because he has a business in Boston, I called him under the pretense of saying, like, the cat puked on my computer and I need data recovery because he's got a data recovery service. And at the end, I called him Stage Man. And then he called me back, actually. This was funny, too. And he's like, why did you call me Stage Man? I'm like, oh, I learned about your data recovery service because I saw the prank calls online. And he's like, oh, okay. Oh, man. John Cena, soundboard phone games were hella funny 20 years ago? No, they're still funny now. Believe it or not, they still make them. Are my feet gonna become a goddamn meme on the fucking channel? Because there seem to be a lot of people that are mentioning them. Just saying. Just to be clear, I don't do foot fetishism. By the way, I'm wondering if any of you remember this. This is way, way back in the day. We're talking like early 2000s, I believe, maybe even late 90s. Do you remember a site called Crackman by Kimbo? And it was basically Pac-Man gets fucked in the ass and then smokes crack. Do any of you remember that? I'm hoping that at least one of you does, because I can remember that very fondly when I was in literally elementary school, when they first installed the computers in the library. I was looking up all sorts of crazy shit, and Crackman by Kimbo was one of them. Doug, check the archive. The problem is this is pre-archive service, so it wouldn't be on an archive. It was basically this weird video where Pac-Man like goes around, gets killed by the ghost, and then smokes crack and then floats around the screen, basically. He gets high. And I thought it was hilarious when I was a little kid. Back then, they had all sorts of crazy shit on the internet. When I was a little kid, I was looking up diarrhea jokes and stuff like that. And then I was looking up Pokemon, right? Well, back then, ad blocking wasn't really a thing. Neither was censorship. So you would go from the Pokemon to other forms of anime and search around and say, oh, this looks cool. And then you'd get to the hentai. Now, keep in mind, I'm 12 years old at the time. From there, you would get to actual porn sites. You couldn't actually search for them, but you could get to them. And then I looked up Ogre Battle 64, which was my favorite video game at the time, and for some reason, no, there was a porn page associated with that too, with a woman that was not particularly attractive, but it was still funny. Also, Yo Mama jokes. Yo Mama jokes were the best thing at the time, and there were 1,000 websites with the Yo Mama jokes. Like, Yo Mama so dumb and poor, she put out the cigarette butt that was heating the house. Oh man, I love that. And my dad came up behind me one time. I was in the library, I was just, looking up random shit. and he came up behind me and found me reading the diarrhea jokes, actually. And he's like, just don't tell your mother. And then he just wandered off. That was funny as hell. Yo, mama so stupid she sold the car for gas money. We're gonna get into a Yo Mama match here, I believe. Yo Mama so cold that my tongue stuck to her. I don't know, I just think these sorts of things are funny. Grave humor, Yo Mama jokes, scatological humor, slapstick, it doesn't really matter. And Debbie Donovan, sticks in the internet foot fetish, lol. Yeah, if I whipped my dick out, people would be less impressed because, people would need to zoom in order to see it. Self-deprecation, one of the best forms of humor. Turtle Boy. Uh, uh, well, where's the fucking comment? Jesus H. Christ. Speaking of Yo Mamas, when you get out of jail in NOLA, go to Yo Mamas and eat. Yo Mama so fat, she tripped on 47th Street and landed on 49th Street. Yo Mama so fat, she puts her lipstick on with a paint roller. I don't know, I just find this funny. Yo Mama so ugly they put a picture of her in the monkey cage to keep them from jerking off. Poppy, Yo Mama's so fat she can see Styx's feet from both sides of the earth. Yeah, Yo Mama jokes used to be a big thing back in the 2000s. They've sort of phased out now, but they're still fucking hilarious. Matka, not the Yo Mama jokes. Oh, Yo Mama. Now I'm listening to the Yo Mama jokes over here on chat. The Prom Brothers. Great content, buddy. Yeah, I mean, where else are you going to get Yo Mama jokes these days? Good luck. Ah. I do have to go offline in a couple of minutes, though, because I really need a little bit more food. And I think I'm going out later. So if you see me around Oot na Boot, as the Canadians say, around New York City, I'll be in the general area. It's a huge city, so that general area may change from time to time. But it will definitely be time to get a decent meal, and I've got to do a little bit of light shopping, so to speak. Thankfully, all my disbursements came through, so it shouldn't be a problem. Richard Vernadow. Sticks, have you ever put ketchup on octopus? No. No, absolutely not. Ketchup belongs on everything, but I've never put it on octopus. Michael D'Angelo, what's your opinion of Governor Wes Moore? Seems he is the only realistic chance the Democrats got. Stephen A. Smith sucks him lol daily. I think they're trying to astroturf him. They've done this like a dozen fucking times so far, as the Democrats go. They've done it with Bernie. They've done it with AOC. They did it with that one sports commentator. I can't remember his fucking name. Certainly Gavin Newsom and Klobuchar to an extent. Elizabeth Warren. I mean, I can't even count them on my fingers because there's so many of them. Hochul, uh, Tlaib, she's been mentioned, although I don't think she's eligible. Didn't she come from out of the country? I'm not 100% sure. So they've got this random assortment of clowns, basically, that are all vying for office. I don't think they have a chance with any of them, honestly. Against J.D. Vance, I think all of these people lose. I mean, when you're reaching out to a sports commentator with no political experience who is literally working for ESPN, and that's one of the people that you're trying to astroturf, doesn't that scream, panic more than anything else? I would think that it does. It seems like they just don't know what the hell they're doing, and I wish that they did. I wish that the Democrats would get their ass in line. Get your shit together, reform your party, stop not making sense, and give us something worth voting for. I would rather not vote for the Republican Party. Hell, I mean, depending on who's the can, I mean, J.D. Vance, I'll vote for him. That would be fine. But, I mean, there are some Republicans that are in there that I probably wouldn't vote for. But if the Democrats don't give me a meaningful alternative, what the hell am I supposed to do? I'm just going to sit on my ass and twiddle my thumbs, I suppose, and be like, well, whatever. Whatever happens, happens, because both outcomes are equally retarded. Richard, Sticks, will there be an action figure of you as a pirate? That would be cool. Yeah, people can make shit out of my image as long as if you're commercializing it, I want a cut. I want to negotiate a cut of the profits because everyone has to make a living. Beyond that, though, if you're just making something for your own edification or something, go ahead. That's fine. Like, people have made AI videos of me, and there's, like, coffee pouring out of the hat and, like, stuff like that. I love that. If anyone wants to make, like, AI videos of me, you have my full permission for non-commercial purposes. Just make sure that you show me because it will give me a laugh. Oh, man, it was so funny. Stolen Hellcat. Both parties owned by Epstein tapes. Yeah, just keep in mind that there are Republicans that went to Epstein Island as well. It's the reason those tapes have not been released. I wonder what that reason could be. Doesn't take a genius to fucking find it out, you know? Eric, it's crazy how J.D. Vance is around our age, but he kind of looks older than us. Well, he's a war veteran, so, you take a beating when you're in that sort of situation. Just look at the kind of food that they have to eat. Although I will admit that the U.S. MREs generally are good. I have an assumption, and this is semi-joking. He ate too many of the white chicken chunk MREs, and that's why he prematurely aged. Dude, I'd rather get shot at than have to eat that again. And I'm not joking when I say that. I'm being quite literal. It was that bad. It's like, I'd rather be just killed than tortured, you know? Crossover Maniac, do they have deep fakes of your voice? Well, it won't be hard to make them. And if somebody wants to make a soundboard of my voice, deep fake my voice, I don't give a shit what you post. The only thing that I say is if it's for commercial purposes, then I want a cut of the money. If it's for non-commercial purposes, even if it's critical, I do not care what you do with my voice or my image. I don't care if somebody puts me in a sex video. Everyone's going to know that it's not real anyway. It'll just be humorous. I don't believe in censorship. I don't believe, beyond owning my likeness for the purposes of commercialization, I don't have any right to prevent people from using stuff that's been publicly posted anyway and doing it for even critical purposes. So, Stick Sex and Hammer is not going to sue you if you take a video footage of me, make AI, and have me fucking a hooker or something like that. You won't get sued. I'll laugh at it. I'll find it hysterical. Just don't take ad revenue or anything like that unless you intend to cut me in. If you contact me beforehand, you can make whatever you want and we'll work something out. Yeah, I should probably make some porn or something like that so that people can grab some footage for that. You'll have to supply some clankettes or something like that, I suppose. I am joking about that one. But, yeah, I mean, if you want to make AI of me, that's perfectly fine. I don't understand it. Like, some people get really upset. Like, if you make AI of them, an AI image, an AI video, AI voice, whatever it happens to be, they'll get really, really upset and bent out of shape about it. And I'm like, what the fuck are you complaining about? It means that somebody actually gives a damn about the shit that you're making, and they decided that it would be funny. It's humor. Get over yourself, you know? Yeah, you can make AI of me. It doesn't matter if it's an image or a video, whatever it happens to be. If you want to deepfake my voice, that's fine. If you want to make a soundboard of me and prank call people with me, that would make me very, very, very happy. Disclaimer, of course, for legal reasons. I'm not actually encouraging you to do that. I'm being satirical. Yeah, if it did happen, I would probably get a good cheeky chuckle at that. Man, that would be fucking hilarious. Arg, me haughty, saucy lasses. Yes, indeed. There are a lot of hot clankettes. Over the years, you wouldn't believe it. Damn. There are definitely some hotties that watch the channel. Just saying. And I find that hilarious. It's like, why would you want to watch a broadcast with somebody who looks like this? You know? I'm gonna smash my mirror just so I don't have to look at my own face too much. Again, self-deprecation. I don't trust anyone who can't do it. Everyone should insult themselves at least once a day. Privateer of the East, did you see the aurora this weekend? It is a sign of the magnetic fields of Earth weakening, at least the harbinger of... Oh, your comment went up to the top. Harbinger of doom is pretty. Yeah, no, I didn't see the auroras, sadly. When you're in New York City, it's a little bit harder to see, you know, the eye in the sky, so to speak, because there's so much light pollution. The Napalm Brothers. Styx's bar for hot is set pretty low. No, you don't have any idea. There are plenty of clankettes who are extremely attractive. I would know. I've fucked a few of them. Rip. LMAO. Richard Vernadout, have you ever seen a Bigfoot out in the woods in Vermont? No, but there was that one weird story where somebody who was clearly intoxicated, like when he called in this report, he had to have been on at least one drug of some sort. He said that he saw an albino Bigfoot. That was west of Rutland. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, you probably were so drunk or so on drugs that you saw a lady in a fur jacket or something like that and thought it was Bigfoot. And of course, there's no corroborating footage or anything like that. This happens quite often, actually, you'll notice. I do believe that Bigfoot is plausible, but the original stories all come from like British Columbia, Washington State, parts of Oregon and California, in that general region. It's possible that a hominid species inhabits maybe caves or something like that in the region and is simply reclusive and doesn't generally interact with humans, is afraid of them, perhaps. And the area is partially, largely unexplored, actually, so it's plausible. But that being said, it isn't until those cases become popularized to the American and Canadian public that all of a sudden you get a huge proliferation of sightings all over the countries. I have a feeling that most of it is bears, some of it is pranks, some of it is literally like people in gorilla suits, like the tape there, the famous tape of Bigfoot. Apparently, the individual inside of the suit is now known, actually, and so forth. The evidence for it that popularized it doesn't mean that all of the sightings are real. So while I think that a hominid species could theoretically exist in, the Pacific Northwest, and the original cases are prolific enough that it's plausible, while unlikely, but plausible at least, I don't think that they exist anywhere else. I do not believe that Vermont has Bigfoot. Nobody was talking about that until they heard about the cases in the Pacific Northwest. All of a sudden, people here who got completely wasted started seeing Bigfoot. It's amazing. There's a story. Let me get to this comment really quickly, and then I'll tell you a very funny story before I go offline. Cooking Inferno, obviously you never watched the video I sent you about Bigfoot in your area. How many months now? Well, I did. The thing is, Bigfoot does not exist outside of the Pacific Northwest, and that's assuming that it exists at all. Virtual Face World. It's Vice Week on clankers.net, where we will be dropping a vice and building a skill for the whole week, clanking all the while. Join our ranks. Everyone should become a clanker. Everyone in the world should be subscribed to the fucking channel. Anyways, funny story. This is something from my high school years. There was a driver's ed teacher in my high school. He's retired now, I believe. His name was Mr. Pluta. And actually, his brother taught mathematics at Castleton, which was funny. I got a 104, actually, in there. I got above a 100% score in mathematics. And I'm not even terribly good at math, but I'm good with calculators. I can make programs in order to, solve the problems for me. Anyway, and apparently there's some sort of bizarre, probably alcohol-related story down in Danby and Shrewsbury and places south of Rutland about hooting bears. I don't know 100% what the backstory is, but I have a feeling it's people that are like teenagers basically, that are drunk out of their asses or on drugs, and an owl hoots, and they think that it's a bear or something like that. And so this has become sort of an urban legend within the region, apparently, or at least it was back then. I don't know if it still is. And I thought it was hilarious at the time because he would admonish all the students that were from Danby that he knew, of which there were several, because Danby is represented in Mill River's district. He would admonish them that there's no such thing as hooting bears and shit like that. And he would reference drugs constantly. He would reference alcohol constantly. And I used to draw pictures of him high out of his mind, rambling about drugs and stuff. I would make little cartoons actually of him, and I wish that I still had them more than almost anything. And there was like one where he was saying, all the drugs that he had available, and one of them was alcohol. It was a Mai Tai, and then he literally corrected me on the spelling of Mai Tai. I thought that was so fucking hilarious. I burst out laughing, and he had the 1,000-yard stare at that point because he's a driver's ed teacher, so he's seen it all. And later that year, actually, during the same instruction period, one of the girls there, she was sort of that bitchy chick that would punch you but was still hot, and she rolled the car over, actually, and it was really funny. I can't remember her name, actually. Kind of had a crush on her. Apparently one day, and this was, of course, the day that I checked out and pretended to be sick. Apparently in chem class that day, she actually took her shirt off and was showing her boobs to people. I didn't get to see it. I'm rather sad about that. But yes, it was a fun time. Let me tell you, high school, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna go offline. I've been an hour 30, well, an hour 33 now, actually. So yeah, yeah, Clankettes are my groupies. Yeah, we have all sorts of cute girls and gay dudes sometimes, but you know. But I'm going to go offline here and docket some news, but I've got a lot of other things that I have to do. I may or may not go live tomorrow. Tuesday might be the day that I don't go live, because usually I do 4 days a week. Oh, we got one more. Please send no more super chats. Artemisia. Yo, I'm doing a bit of a thing, and was curious. Did Andy Worski ever pay you for your debate with Richard Spencer? No, I never requested any pay. I told him it's perfectly fine. Yeah, no, generally speaking, when I make appearances and stuff like that, I don't ask for money. Um, you know, if a cut is offered, that's appreciated, but I don't like directly ask for it, so yeah. Yeah, Andy, I used to really, really like the dude. I mean, I still really don't have a problem with him. I don't know exactly what his problem with me is. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he's talented. He's a smart dude. People don't even give him as much credit as they should. It's like, why start it on me? I don't understand it. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go offline here, and yeah, I'm gonna go in and wax my feet for my future appearance. Just joking. That's about all. Peace out.